It is in session. Ah, 80th anniversary of the D-Day. Invasion of Normandy, France. Yeah, ninth grade at Klein Oak, learning about World War II history. It was enthralling. It was kind of fun back then. It's fun being in high school because I think it's more fun to be in high school and you meet your teacher out there at the mall. And my teacher was really good in ninth grade, really badass guy. And I didn't even know his background or anything. He was just a cool dude. And made an A in that, ninth grade Klein Oak 30 years ago. I made an A in that, that class. We watched Tora, 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 which was an old film, which in Japanese, it means attack, 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 about Pearl Harbor. We watched that movie in class. And we studied World War II extensively, in fact. This guy had a really deep voice. And by the time I was 14, he was already in his 40s or 50s. He was deep gray. Maybe he was older than that. He had a cool voice. It was like, hey, it was this deep voice. It was a really good voice. And it was a really cool voice. And he wasn't condescending or anything to the class. Like sometimes you're in college classes, you're in university classes, and you interrupt and ask a question. The teacher's like, yeah, Billy, yeah, you got something to add to the lecture? It wasn't condescending. It wasn't like a douche. He wasn't like, yeah, I got a PhD, fuck off. He wasn't a douche. He was like really good. He was really feeding off the energy of the students, their questions, and really getting, but we didn't have, it's like a teacher-student relationship is a relationship that's based off the teacher respects the students and the students respect the teacher. And that's what makes a great classroom, is a mutual respect, but that the children know their roles in the classroom, which is to learn from the teacher, from the professor, from the master. So as long as those boundaries are not crossed, then it's pretty cool. So one day I'm walking through Woodlands Mall, and this history teacher from Klein Oak, he comes in to a random shop, I'm like, hey, it's Mr. Whoever. And he's like, hey, oh, you're one of my students. And I was like, yeah. That's usually like a pretty fun feeling. Usually would happen at the Woodlands Mall, right? Did it ever happen at Willowbrook Mall? No, it happened a lot because Woodlands, Texas, the Woodlands Mall has always been like the best mall in Houston. Besides, the Galleria has a lot of crime problems, a lot of ghetto problems. Now, Galleria used to be the best mall in Houston, but really one of the finest, most safest malls, one of the most pristine malls in Houston, Texas, has been the Woodlands, Texas Mall, I would say. So I've always felt, you always feel comfort, you always feel safe there. You just always feel these good vibes, these community vibes there. You don't really get that in so many other malls in Houston. You get this like, oh shit, is someone gonna stab me in the back or shoot me in the face? You get bad vibes at other malls in Houston, but this mall, in the Woodlands, because it's a really nice, affluent area. And the Galleria Mall has gone way, way, way downhill into the ghetto, into shit. So I always thought that was fun, going to school and in high school, and then sometimes be with my family at the mall and then see like random teachers walking through shops. It's pretty fun. there was a lot of good times at Klein Oak High School in Spring, Texas. I would say that was a really fun year of high school. That was an extremely fun year, actually. Most of the teachers, most of the students were really memorable that year. I remember. And it's not that in 10th or 11th or 12th grade, any students or nobody was memorable. There was plenty of memorable teachers and students then, but I think the freshman, the first year of high school is like the first year at Hogwarts. It just really sticks with you. So it really makes an impression. So I think there's something to that if you're called a fresh man. That does something to your psyche. So if you're a young man and you go to high school and you're the fresh man, then you're like, you're a fresh man. That's like, that really sounds like really cool. You know, you're a fresh man. And then senior denotes you're the senior, but if you're the fresh man, see, that's different. What, sophomore is like you're an amateur, and junior is like what? Junior varsity, the varsity, junior varsity team. Senior is like you're old and you're like past your prime. But fresh man, that always makes you feel good. I mean, it's in your psyche when you're in high school. What was one of my favorite Woodlands Mall hangouts? I love this place called. It's not around anymore. It was in Take Me Home Tonight with Topher Grace and Anna Faris and Chris Pratt and all that. But it's a place called Suncoast Video. Was like my favorite. In fact, in Take Me Home Tonight, the Suncoast Video is almost the exact same layout of the store that I would go to all the time in the Woodlands Mall when it was around. I think all the Suncoast Video stores are closed because people don't use, really VHS anymore. Definitely not Laserdisc, and they still might use some DVD, but now they have Blu-ray and they have digital streaming and stuff like that. So a lot of the physical media isn't in demand anymore. So therefore, all the Suncoast Videos went out of business. That was my favorite hangout back in the late 90s in high school, was the Suncoast Video store. It was really awesome. What would I do mostly in the Suncoast Video store? I'd be looking for Star Trek episodes. I'd be looking for Star Wars and Indiana Jones, and I'd be looking for nerdy shit while I was in there. I was looking for sci-fi and adventure fantasy and stuff like that. So I was mostly trying to score some nerd shit while I was in there, and I did sometimes if my parents would give me some money. So some nerd ass. I was nerding out in there, dude. Stargate, Star Wars, and fucking Lord of the Rings and everything, dude. I heard my mom just yell out like "ah" or something. I don't know what she's doing. Women are really emotional sometimes. Women are emotional with their feelings. So one day I saw this old teacher in the old Klein High School at Woodlands Mall. His name was Eldon Ferris. And people call him Fairies just to mess with him. He wasn't gay. He was just real old. He had this handlebar mustache, and he looked like he was in a different century. He looked like he was in fucking the cowboy years or something, man. The guy was just old as fuck. I think what happened was in Klein High School, they had like a 1930s edition of Klein High School. Then they had like a 1960s build of Klein High School. And then so our students that went in the 80s and 90s had to go through the 1960s kind of Greek layout of Klein High School. And then the next Klein High School that was rebuilt when they tore the old buildings all down, they made the Klein High School into like a penitentiary almost, I guess, because of all the school shootings and stuff. But they didn't have the open conference. They didn't have the Agora type the Greek style high school anymore. It wasn't like the meeting place style. It was more like a prison, and it looks like a penitentiary from the outside. It looks like it's compartmentalized. It looks like it's surveilled. It looks like it's like a prison. Really, honestly, it looks like a prison. It looks like the pen. But our old high school from the 1960s, or whenever it started being built, from like the 1930s or 40s or something, it looked like an agora type. It was supposed to be like a communal type high school where all the students met, and they socialized, and they discussed issues, and they were supposed to interact with each other. And I don't see that in the new high schools that are being built. It looks more like prisons or some kind of. They probably say in the name of student security, we have to turn this educational institution into a prison for the safety of the students. So it's probably like what, there's metal detectors. There's probably fucking, for the wealthier schools like Klein District, they probably have metal detectors. They probably have fucking, armed guards and security, like its own police force, and it's probably all fucking just crazy. So like how it used to just be, school would be a trusted place where you would send your kids, even though it was funded by taxpayers and operated by the federal government and taxpayer funded. But people used to trust the education system, is what I'm saying. They don't really anymore. And so, that's very sad. But we never lived through times where a guy started to gun down people because he was lonely or couldn't get any naked girls or something like that. Like incels and where there was never too many situations in society where mentally ill people were dealt with, and they were caught before they could do violent or extreme acts. But it appears lately that students in the education system are being punished for crimes they didn't commit, and that's very sad. Very sad. Because most students didn't do Eric Harris and Dylan Klebold 1999's Columbine massacre, but my God, the students in America still have to pay for that. Yeah. By being locked down in a fucking prison from 7 in the morning till 3 p.m. every day, Monday through Friday. So. So this guy, Eldon Ferries, was really old. He'd been teaching since 1960s, 1970s, 1980s, 1990s. He was closing towards retirement. But back in the late 90s, our millennial generation was real young, like, 16, 17, 18, and up to senior age. And this guy was like trying to be, it's our senior year of high school. Most people, they selected that art credit so they could graduate and easy. And this guy, Eldon Ferries, was like, nope, we're not going to have it easy. We're going to make this a hard as fuck art class. Most of the art classes I'd taken before that have been fun, and everybody's painting and everybody's drawing, everybody's just laughing and stuff like that. Right. No. This guy was like thinking you were going to become the next Leonardo da Vinci, Michelangelo. This guy was like hard on people, and he was hard grading. You did not follow my instruction. This guy was a fucking asshole. All right. This guy was a crotchety bitch. So all these people took Eldon Ferry's class thinking, oh, it's going to be like the regular art class we've taken all through K through 12, right? Where people are laughing and doing crayons and drawing and painting and finger painting and having a hoot and getting credit for it, right? No, that's not what it was. This guy was a bitch. Okay. This guy was a crotchety old cantankerous dick. And he wanted to make your life hell because you weren't passionate enough about art. Okay. Now you would probably think that maybe in college algebra or geometry or something, or chemistry class, you get your balls chopped off. You get your balls busted. Not if you signed up for art. This guy wanted you to take art seriously, and he was busting students' balls. So Eldon Ferris, this motherfucker, man. So then, big handlebar mustache, like an old Western. This dude, I don't know if he did dip or smoke pipe. I don't know if he smoked like tobacco. But back in those days, like teachers used to smoke tobacco and do dip and fucking stank like fucking tobacco and shit. It used to stink like shit. And I think I know what happened with my teachers at the end of Klein High School. They weren't hiring young, hot teachers. It was mostly faculty that had been there since like maybe even youthful. They had been tenured since the 1960s. Maybe they had taught there since the 1970s or 1980s. I think a lot of those old tenured teachers that I went to high school with were old and crotchety and crankety because they were close to retirement. I think they had been teaching there at least 10, 20, 30, maybe even more years than that. And so there was some Professor Snapes up in there hardcore. And so unfortunately, you would meet a Professor Snape every now and then, and it would bust your balls, and wouldn't be a pleasant experience. No, no, no. I know there's all there's all these schools where all these hot young babes are teaching high school, and they sleep with their students and they get in trouble for statutory rape. No, that was not my experience. Most of my teachers were hags or fucking old men, old tenured old men and women. There any young hot babe teachers? Fuck no. There was not a blonde with some big tits teaching at Klein Oak or Klein High School back in the 90s. There was no hot dime piece ass sexy. It was mostly like you're 17 and you go into the class and the woman is already like 45 or 50 or 60, and then she's looking at you like a piece of meat. She's like, I wish I was a young snapper. I'd get one of these young boys for sure. It was like, no, it was fucking Do you think it was this shit where these kids go to school today and they get the young 20, 23-year-old intern, or they get the 25-year-old chick right out of college? Fuck no, dude. Fucking hell no. It was all hags. It was all fucking old crotchety fucking dudes. It was all Professor Snapes. It was all fucking Wicked Witch of the East. It was fucked. There was no teacher I went to past middle school when I was in Klein Oak and Klein High School. There was no hot teacher that was 25. Hot for teacher and had big tits and green eyes and long blonde hair. No, fuck no, dude. Fuck no. Hell no. There was none of that. So if you're lucky to have a high school, if you're lucky to be a guy and you went to a high school and there was hot fucking young teachers, you had a better high school experience than I did, because hot for teacher. Man, we had some old ass fucking people, man. Talking about old school. My shit was old school, Don. My shit was dawned. There was no sweet little thing in my high school. Only the sweet girls. And even really, like, my senior class was ugly as fuck, man. Like, when I looked at my yearbook, I was like, why is there just a few hot chicks in my fucking 12th grade senior year? And then I looked at the 9th grade chicks and I was like, fuck, we got fucked over, dude. There's no hot teachers. There's no fucking hot girls to speak of in my senior graduating class. What the fuck is this? Man, we got fucking jit, bro. What the fuck is this shit, dude? Oh. You left the fridge open. Oh! I'm sorry. I'm wondering, what did that beep beep say? Oh, yeah. I love you. So one day I'm walking through the Woodlands Mall and I see Ferris. This might have been after graduation or something, right? And man, if you meet your teachers outside of school, they're like, "Hey, how you doing?" But man, I don't know. I had this one teacher. I don't know if she was a dyke or what, but she made like college algebra like fucking. Yeah.
Hey, your new fan is by your bed.
Yeah.
Your cheap fan and your broke down fan are in the garage.
All right. Thank you.
All right. Love you.
All right. Love you. You rock. I'm a fan of that.
I love you.
I love you too.
Yeah. In with the out with the old and
in with the new.
If it's broke, right?
If it's broke, don't fix it.
Right. Buy a new one.
If it ain't broke, don't fix it. But if it's broke, get a new one.
Yeah.
Or something like that. I don't know what this is.
Yeah, no, that's true. Yeah. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. But if it's broke, get a new one.
Yeah.
Throw away the old crap.
Oh, yeah.
All right, love you.
Love you. Yeah. Get inspired about it. Yeah. If it ain't broke, no. Oh. Something like that. All right. Got the Colt 45 beer experience. I've been chilling the drink, but it doesn't really matter if you chill the glass in this kind of environs because the heat and humidity just destroys the temporary, the only way you could negate properly this process in such an environ, such as the heat and humidity and bad air quality of the Houston, Texas, would be to get a glass that was, stainless steel, cold collecting, that could stay cold and frozen for hours, or a mug that could freeze water that would stay frozen, inside of itself, inside the shell, and that would keep the beverage cold for, extended periods. But otherwise, if you just freeze a beer mug or something, and then you expose it to the hot and the heat, the humidity of Houston, Texas, and the hot temperatures, then it will dispel the frozen glass or the mug very, very quickly. So it would be kind of almost pointless, basically, in that certain perspective. Yeah. What was it like working at Willowbrook 10 when Saving Private Ryan came out 26 years ago? Well, I was at the box office, and all these elderly gentlemen, now being 17 or 18 at the time when I think it was my first summer, my first year working, I went 17, 18, 1998 when Saving Private Ryan came out. And my first job, well, no, I'd worked at a grocery store as a sacker, but I got laid off, and that's not really important. But I count it as my first official job at the movie theater, American Multi Cinema. So it was controlled by the Chinese Communist Party. They had bought it out for a while, and then Americans got back control of the company. So now it's an American company again. But for a while, the Chinese Communist Party had bought out major shares of American Multi Cinema. So if the Chinese Communist Party buy out American cinema, well, it's not really American anymore, is it? Well, back in the days when it was exclusively American, that's when I worked there. And what is she doing? Anyways. So then it was the opening day for Saving Private Ryan. And usually movies, no one gives a shit. It's Batman and Godzilla. And then people just come for a laugh, entertainment, get their popcorn, get their chocolates and shits and giggles, right? It's entertainment. It's fun time. It's laugh time. It's relax time. That's what movies, entertainment is supposed to be for. So just shits and giggles, laughs and tits, and have a hoot, have an adventure, have a fantasy, and then you go back to the dull, grinding reality of real life. And that's what it's supposed to be. So movies, entertainment is supposed to be an escape from real life because it's not real life. So in a fantasy movie, fantasy show, right? It's like Cobra Kai. The guy's washed up and he's 60 years old, but his dying father comes and he brings him a check for $10,000 as his son is about to be evicted and homeless. Now that's what they call fantasy. Now I'm not saying your dying father will not come to your rescue if you're 60 and you're pissing yourself from beer and you're face down on the floor with cores everywhere. I'm not saying that can't really happen in real life, that your grandfather's going to be, son, you need to get on your feet and cut you 15,000. I'm just saying normally that's not what's going to happen. In real life, if your father sees you on the ground and you're a full grown man and you're 60 years old and you're surrounded by 50 Coors beer bottles, he's going to say, you're a fucking loser, fuck you, and then he's going to walk away. That's what's normally going to happen in real life. But in a show like Cobra Kai, that's a Hollywood fictional story. That's a streaming fantasy fiction where fathers, when you're in trouble, they come and bail you out financially or otherwise. So, see the difference between reality and fantasy? Well, they're very different, as it turns out. So normally, this Hollywood life of fantasy does not intersect reality. But since Saving Private Ryan is based on historical events, the D-Day landings at Normandy, France, well, then those kind of things can intersect because these things did happen. It's a movie based on something that actually happened. So then that would draw in people that were veterans of World War II in Houston, Texas, and North Houston. They would come because it's an intersection between fiction and reality. So there's the realistic component, and then there's the fantasy movie. There's the fictional movie based on the true event. So that's what causes the nexus, the intertwining of the two kind of normally separate ideas, dimensions. Now, I was kind of freaked out because on the morning of Saving Private Ryan, I'd already been to the employee screening. I thought, oh, this movie's fantastic. I loved it. And it's really, wow. I had been in high school with World War II history and D-Day history and victory in Japan and victory in Europe Day and and all that. So I was hyped. You know, I saw the movie. I said, "Wow, this is wonderful." And now it didn't make every young man want to enlist in the Army or the Navy or the Air Force. It didn't really inspire people to join up to the U.S. military when they saw dudes. You know, they saw a movie where dudes are getting cut in half by artillery fire, and their organs were split everywhere. But you know, a lot of people joined up after the September 11th, 2001 terror attack. So a lot of people weren't really military minded necessarily before that time, unless they didn't really have very many options in life. I think actually during 1998, when I graduated high school, before about 3 years before 2001, the terror attacks, I think most of my friends would say, if they found out that you were joining the military, they would say, "Oh, it looks like you're doing the lowest thing you could do." Like they're kind of like a lot of the people I went to school with were aristocratic, and they had fathers that were brain surgeons and dentists and doctors, and they looked down on the working class people, and they kind of scoffed at you. "Oh, you're going to the military. Oh, you're not going to the university. Oh, you must be a lowlife." Yeah, they kind of looked down on us, didn't they? Yeah, they did. They're snooty. Yeah. They weren't smarter than us. They weren't more capable than us. They weren't more intelligent or creative as us. They weren't as resourceful. They weren't as strong as us. They just had more money. That's all. It makes a difference in this life if you're young and you have shitloads of money and shitloads of opportunity to go to higher education schools. So I got to open up this AMC 10 screen theater, Willowbrook, American Multi Cinema, and Saving Private Ryan opening day. A movie about the landings at Normandy, France, D-Day liberation of Europe from Nazi Germany and the Axis powers. And I look out in the early morning sun before the first showing at like 10 or something. There's all these older guys. There's all these old men. They're just everywhere. And they're just looking at, and I'm just like, I'm a young 18-year-old guy, and I'm like, oh my God. You know, there's all these old guys everywhere. They all got, and some of them might, I mean, some of them are veterans of the Persian Gulf. Some are veterans of Vietnam, you know, and maybe even some were veterans of World War II. Maybe two. They're all staring at me. Seems like they all got this gaze just waiting to get into the theater. They got this demeanor, very serious. I don't usually see serious demeanor trying to go to a Hollywood movie, going to a flick. Man, these guys had a mission, dude. And they had shades and they're wrinkly and they're all staring at me. I mean, there's a big crowd of older senior citizens that could still walk. And they're all staring in the early morning sun. And I'm like, oh my God. Like, I've never seen this before. And I never will see anything like this ever again. For this one movie, you know. Wow. Like, these guys really want to see this movie. They really want to see the sacrifice of the veterans in Western civilization and American soldiers, the United States Armed Forces. I was like, they were dedicated to do this. And yeah, so I better not complicate this. So then, you know, rang up the tickets to the first showing. I had already seen the movie myself. I loved it, so I was happy to do it. And, you know, yeah, it was pretty incredible. So, talking about a niche audience, man. Is there anything crazier I've seen than Saving Private Ryan? maybe the next year Star Wars Episode 1 of Phantom Menace, because there hadn't been a Star Wars movie up to that point for 17 years. So it was kind of, there was like, 2-day, 3-day lines wrapping around a 30 screen, and it was pretty nuts. I guess Star Wars Mania was more nuts than Saving Private Ryan Mania, but I think overall impact wise, I was impacted by the Saving Private Ryan Mania, primarily because Star Wars is a fantasy in a land long ago, far, far away. It's not real. And D-Day invasion and World War II is very real. And the Axis powers almost took over the world if it wasn't for these great Western heroes that saved our civilization 80 years ago. So, yeah. Yeah. We're still in D-Day 80th anniversary, and then it's over in about 50 minutes or whatever. Yeah. So what caused the decline of Western civilization? I know a lot of the videos are about the birth rates in America, how horrid the birth rates and the replacement rates are. In Europe, it's like 1.5, and in America, it's like 1.6 children reproductive rate. I could blame the men. I could say, well, you didn't try enough harder to get the women. I could say that. It's your fault. You spent too much time smoking weed and playing video games and stuff. Yeah, I could blame the guys. But, for the birth rate decline, I'm going to blame feminism. I'm going to go ahead and blame women, because that's who really holds the cards to the cradle of life. Because men really don't hold the cards to reproduction, right? We can't grow people inside our bodies. So it's definitely women who hold the cards for it. So no, I blame feminism. I blame woke leftism. I blame women for the decline in birth rates in America, because men are rejected, even if they're good guys, even if they have steady jobs, even if they have a car, even if they've had an education. Maybe even if they make a decent salary, they're still rejected by women and females. And the Western civilization is baffled why the declining birth rate is so bad. Well, because women, they say 90% of women go after 10% of the highest earners of men. They never settle. So that means 90% of women, even ugly chicks, even fat chicks, are going after the Brad Pitts of the world, and they're not settling for anything below those particular standards, because they set the standards, right? So if you wanted a world that had a great reproduction rate, you would have women that wouldn't settle for an unemployed guy that never shaved, that had stinky balls. I'm just saying that women would choose a guy who was, not Mark Zuckerberg and didn't have 300 billion fucking dollars. They would go for a guy that had an okay salary or a decent income, a decent job, or something like that. But no, that's not what women do. Even ugly fat women in this society are still going after the Brad Pitts and the Jeff Bezos guys. And so people wonder why Western civilization, the birth rate is in the fucking tank. Well, there's your reason. Because look at all these guys who are good guys. They got good jobs. They got good fucking educations. They got decent livings. And they're getting passed over because these women who are ugly and fat and bitches are fucking us in the ass. So why is there MGTOW? Why is there incel? That wasn't something that was happening, 20 years ago. Why is there men going their own way? Why is there all this men Andrew Tate bullshit going on? These women have rejected men that are average, that are okay, that are stable, that have good jobs, they have cars, they have means. Women are just going for the top 10% of men and income earners and looks, and they're not settling. Even the ugly and the fat and the wretched ones aren't settling for anything less. So they wonder why. They end up alone with no babies. It's a mystery to them, I guess. Well, anyways, but as long as this trend accelerates and continues, it's a socio-economic cultural trend. Those things can be remedied, but it's going to be a hard thing to remedy, really. No, I don't blame the men for this. I blame the women because they always want more and more and more and more without having to give anything more. They're like the government. The government always wants to tax and get more and more and more and take and take and take, but it never wants to give anything back in return. That's like the government is like a woman. If you had accepted good men for who they are, if you had accepted average men and decent income earners for who they are, then there would be no crisis in reproduction. Period. Reproduction and family building and home building would be going on swimmingly. But since they didn't accept that, we're in this fucking pickle conundrum, fuck all destitute, reproductive, civilizational collapse calamity. Because we don't have an extra baby boom like our parents, or millennials, or the millennials' usual matrix was the nuclear family. And so typically I have 2 or 3 aunts. I have my father, and he has a brother or so. That's the baby boom post World War II. Usually these people could afford to have families, and they would get married en masse. They wouldn't be scared of getting married because they weren't afraid of the dollar being shit or that they weren't going to be able to afford it. They knew they could be able to afford cars and houses, and they worked harder because they got inspired that they were going to have a future. So they kept on working harder and harder. They didn't drop out. They didn't scale back. They didn't say, oh man, I don't think I can do this. They didn't delay and delay and delay until, it was fucking over. They knew it was going to be good. So the parents of the baby boomers had, 4 to 5, 6 kids, well more than the replacement rate, reproductively speaking. But the subsequent generations have not been able to afford or had the collective willpower to make a second or third baby boom occur, because there wasn't financial or political or social will to make an effort to make sure that the human race actually continued and perpetuated itself reproductively and productively. So I have a half brother, but my mother has 2 sisters, and my father has I don't know, 4 sisters or something. 1 brother and 4 sisters or some shit like that. So you see, it's very different. If I look at my mother's and my father's, they have a support group. They have a massive family. One person has a problem, the other person can help them. Who's going to help us? We have no brothers and sisters to help us along in our family. Who's going to help us? when we get sick or die or have troubles. Well, we're not going to have our brother and sister and like the baby boomers did. We're not going to have 3 sisters and 5 brothers like they used to. We aren't going to have shit. Is the problem? We're not going to have any human connection. What? We're going to rely on androids or fucking robots or AI fucking bots? No, it's not going to be the same fucking thing. Well, you have a AI girlfriend or some jack off bullshit. Fuck that shit. So it's going to be fucking gay. It's going to be rough. So we're not going to have enough people to help human civilization prosper and grow and perpetuate and to take care of one another. And there's not going to be any will for people to take care of one another in the first fucking place. They're going to want to replace it with robots or foreign aliens or something like that. It's going to be shit. Right. Well, time to get a beer that's worth it. Okay, good. All right. Awesome. Love you. Excellent. So let's go. Is this the? Oh, yeah. Y'all ready for the dance? Yes. This will be excellent. Okay. You go. I think it might be to appropriate volume. Oh, you want to learn how to play guitar? They always have these ads like, "Don't you feel bad you can't play guitar?" It's pretty fun. Is that Taylor made for me? Hey, go. Hey, I love you too.
No, I haven't talked to anyone.
Okay, good. Yeah, okay. All right, it's
I
okay.
haven't talked to no one.
Okay. All right, I'll talk to you later. All right, love you. So, don't you wish you could play guitar? Yeah, I always wish that. You always wish you could play guitar? Yeah, that would be pretty cool. I wish I could play guitar. That would be awesome. Is that the commercial? Don't you wish you could play guitar? Is that playing guitar? Well, I did do something. Is playing just doing something? Or you have to do something that makes sense? Well, that's the age-old question. Is doing something, or does it have to make sense to a particular order, to a particular people? Well, orthodoxy is interesting, but rebellion is also interesting. So, kind of like flip sides of the same coin. Yeah, I like structure, but to a certain point, and then I'm like, well, what's next after structure and order? Well, is there anything beyond structure and order? There might be something else called creativity. There might be something else called breaking barriers. There might be some place called exploration. There might be a place called the frontier. And that might be a place you could go, and even beyond that place, and you could get somewhere else. So, yeah, I appreciate structure in music, even, or any kind of field. But after that, the training wheels are off, right? You're a little kid, you want to explore. First, you have training wheels, and then your mom and dad say, "You're a big boy now, right? You're a big girl. It's time to take the training wheels off. It's time to go without the help, and without the help of the training wheels." So eventually, you're like, "Well, I want to go do something out there that's adventurous and without safety nets and training wheels." So, yeah, sometimes you want to go beyond what society or civilization says you must do or be, because they demand that you do or be or conform to that thing. And a lot of people don't really like that. So, necessarily. Oh, okay, I see. Yeah, the strap got caught in the chair, and then the guitar was falling. I don't think there was much damage there. Oh, sorry, this is one of those nights, right? One of those crazy, crazy nights. You like that song? It's the Eagles. One of these nights, one of those crazy, crazy nights. Now it's crazy because, yeah, I do believe in logical, cohesive order, but creativity is a wild place. And so, kind of torn between the two, I suppose. Order, discipline, and then wild frontier type exploration and chaos. I guess that's my particular dichotomy. Logic versus emotion. Logic would want to rule, but life is often emotional. So even within myself, especially, I mean, you can't be Irish and Native American and English heritage without being a bit emotional. So I think most races and most nationalities, most ethnicities of the human race are somewhat emotional, at least. Especially creative especially creative nations like Ireland, which we are a part, the Wheelers. So there's a certain element of passion that you have to temper through wisdom and knowledge, through discipline. And so otherwise it would become unhinged and become untenable, this Irish passion. It would become unchained, unrevocable, untenable. And it's fiery Irish passion. So it would become a reproach, a desire without reproach. It would become a passion without limits, but a dangerous one. So you'd have to temper that for the real world, for the modern world. And so you'd have to rein that in. If you were a fellow Irishman with the Irish heritage in your blood, you'd have to rein it in. So just for the sake of civilization itself, and for the sake of your own personal integrity. You have to sacrifice your creativity, but you'd have to temper your discipline and your behaviors. So you can't go down to the Irish pub and start punching guys out on a drunken binge every night. You'd have to temper it. You'd have to discipline it. You'd have to work on it. You'd have to be successful in doing so. So you had to rein it in. That's what I'm saying. So can't go on the beer blast every night, knocking guys out or ending up in jail or getting knocked out yourself. You just have to find another way. So to express oneself, to get it done. So it might be through the arts or the music. It might be through writing. It might be through poetry. It might be through, kind of a non-violent kind of means, but you'd have to do it that way. Might be being a chef or being a YouTube creator, or, musician, or it'd have to be some singer or something. It'd have to be just some kind of positive outlet for the passion, because if you got the passion, if you got the genetics for the passion, if you got the blood, the passion, you have to be careful. You got to tread carefully. Just how it is. So if you got the passion, if you got the spirit, if you got that Irish spirit from Fireland, from Ireland, you really have to rein it in. You have to make it work. Otherwise, it'll go wild. Like a wild brush fire, like a wild contagion, like a wild coronavirus. It'll just spread everywhere. It'll become uncontrollable. It'll become unhinged. It'll become chaotic. But if you rein in your Irishness, even just for a little bit, just focus, discipline, think, you'll be okay. So. You can make a nice painting and won't end up in jail. Then it's good to be Irish. It's great to be Irish. Well, there's two clans, the Wheelers, and come from Ireland and England, the ancient wheelwrights. Great. The Wheelers are not also, they're not just wheelwrights. They're not just engineers. They're very creative thinkers from Ireland and England. But there's two clans. There's Wheelers that come from England and Wheelers that come from Ireland. And at some point, they probably also blended. So that's my ancient heritage. I'm very proud of, by the way. So I'm very proud of my Irish and my English heritage. There's no way I wouldn't be. So as for my Native American heritage in the Cherokee Nation, I'm also proud of that too. So there's not one iota of myself that I'm not proud of. There's not one ancient ethnic group that I'm, or one nationality that I'm sad to be a part of. There's nothing like that ever. So it's all great. It's really, I mean, the Native Americans from the ancient Cherokee Nation lived in this land for thousands of years, tracking, going through the forest, building civilizations, fishing, hunting, foraging. These are our frontier people. These are the ancient Native American people, the Cherokee Indians. These are the ancient lands. These are the ancient people. These are the Native American people. This is a great bloodline to be a part of. So it's a proud tribe to be a part of. I've never been embarrassed to be a part of it. Why would I? Such a glorious nation. Such a glorious people. These people have been here for thousands of years. In Texas and Mexico and Oklahoma, definitely in Texas and Mexico. I mean, our people have been here, our bloodlines have been here for thousands of years. I mean, even before the Irish and the English ever came. But I'm not a split personality between the different facets of my heritage or myself. I'm not schizophrenic, but I am not split. I am one. The motto of the United States itself is E pluribus unum. Through many we are one. That's true. It says on the dollar bill, E pluribus unum. It's a Latin phrase. It means through many we are one. And that is true. And it doesn't cease to be. Never true. Never false. It never ceases not to be true. It's the better word, the better phrase for it. E pluribus unum. Through many we are one. It's always been like that. That's why it says it on the US dollar. E pluribus unum. Through many we are one. So even though that my people have many New World ancient backgrounds and many Old World backgrounds in ancient antiquity, we are still one here. Ireland, England, the Native Americans, we're still one here. There's no division here. It's still a union. It's still a state. There's not just unity between the facets, multi-continent, multi-racial, multi-national of myself, but also those of fellow Texans. There's Texans, and there's those of the United States of America that are in a tight, eternal, supposed to be a union under God. And then there's Western civilization itself, which should be tied to its roots and its culture and its heritage through our common bonds. And around the world and the Commonwealth of the former British Empire, we should also be bound by our language, our heritage, and our common purpose. Should be true also. So, an Indian man used to be part of the British Empire. An Indian man speaks perfect, maybe even better English than Anglo-Saxons do, but he's still an Englishman, isn't he? I never doubted that an Indian man who was British was not an Englishman. He's still an Englishman. He's still part of the British Commonwealth. Yes, his skin is different. His culture is markedly originally different, but it's still an Englishman, right? Yeah, the guy wasn't white. He's Indian. He has a brown skin color, but he speaks English better than even the most English do sometimes, on occasion. So why is he any different? Because he has a different skin tone. He's not any different. He's still part of the Commonwealth. He's still part of the empire. He's still part of the British Empire. He's not any different at all. Or he shouldn't be treated any different or looked upon any different. Period. What's up? What are you doing?
No, we had smoke in here. I'm sorry.
Steve is out there?
Oh,
Okay. All right. No, that's okay. So, listen.
yeah, you know what it says because I'm upset because you put that shit out in the garage. You see that shit?
Is it?
Yeah. You're a fucking piece of shit and the other.
Yeah, I do it tomorrow. I'm going to do it right now. I'm going to do it tomorrow. We get that. Love it. All right, we got to get stuff.
I'm so upset. Nobody fucking cares about me. Nobody gives a shit about me. Yeah.
Love you. Don't worry, I'm going to get it done. Don't worry, I'm about to come. All right, just chill. Look, I'm going to go get smoke some damn smoke. Go chill with laugh. What do you got, girl?
So upset because nobody gives a fuck about me. Nothing else.
What do you got with this stuff?
Don't worry about it.
No, I'm going to take care of it. No, I'm going to take care of it tomorrow.
Where's going?
Let's get it safe.
Ah, cigarette.
You got it right there?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know. I thought it was downstairs. Okay, thanks. Rock, you going? Oh, thanks. Oh, you got slippers?
I'm gonna get them.
No, I wouldn't.
Yeah. Straight up. Calm down, calm
I
down.
got it.
No, you are fucking me over for the last damn time. Yeah, you're trying to fuck me over. You're trying to fuck me over.
No, I got slippers, man.
Yeah, you're trying to fuck me over.
No, I got slippers, bro. It's all good. I'll give you one. You're not slippers. That's your stuff. No, you got to get my hair. Yeah. All right, now it's stuck over here. Good. Love it. Love it. Yeah. All right, now it's stuck. Oh. Fantastic. There you go. You didn't like the evening star, but I know. But yeah, that's the Saturday. I still remember the picture from the 80s when I was a little kid. And instead of you with your blue eyes, you had your brown hair and I had like mop top wheels and all of that.
They're on the hallway.
That was awesome. That's Golden Hills. That was awesome. Awesome. Next. Thank you.
I'm not trying to. I'm trying to move on. But I'm not happy anymore. All these fucking people, all these fucking people who died. It's okay. Whatever.
No, it's not.
It's not okay with me.
It's not okay. It's not okay with you. No, it's not okay.
It's not okay with me.
It's not okay.
I'm done. What I'm fucking fed up is like, we're going and all that shit. There. Make you're good.
We're on it. Yeah, I care about my wood, building something with the girl. No, they put it in the rehab and all that. Sheriff tried to cut off his money and all that. Well, hey, mom, please. My family doesn't do drugs. Isn't that great? Our family doesn't do drugs. Nobody in this family is interested in drugs or heroin or crack or cocaine. Thank God. You're not happy about that. Nobody overdoses on heroin or cocaine or crack. You want that. You know it was wrong to do it. And you never did.
Why?
But
Who in the hell do you think you're messing with? Who in the hell do you think you're fucking?
sorry, man.
Messing with what?
We'll leave it at
You are fucking talking about Florida and I'm the bitch! I'm the queen! Do you fucking understand?
all hell is me.
No, I'm just fucking queen.
I love you.
No, nobody cares. Or at least that, but I am the fucking queen.
Oh yeah.
Ah! Everybody thinks that, everybody thinks that, Stephen is the queen. No,
Yeah.
I'm the fucking queen.
Hell yeah. Without a doubt. This family, man, drive you to drink.
I'm sorry, God, I love you. Sorry.
I love you. You're the best. You're the greatest. I love you, Mom. All right. You didn't like the stove already, did you? Fantastic. I'm going to take a whiz and then come back. You're great, Mama. I love you. All right, I'm going to go Liz. Then what I'll lay to Sarah.
But I want to know, I am no one special.
You're everybody's. Everybody cares about you. Everybody. Everybody. Not just me. Everybody loves you, Mom. Everybody loves you. Look. No, you're right. I will go drink all this and wash my hands. Sorry. Oh, I love it. Oh. Okay. I'm not special. Now you're special. You're great. Cat, Queen Catherine. All right. Ready for the action, Don? Woo! Let's get back into it. We're almost to the midnight period of 6/7, 2024. Here we go. Back into it. Joaquin Carude, vibe with me. Ready for that? Who's ready for the jams, Don? You get a firecracker rap. Well, something else. Oh yeah, boy. Yeah, boy. Oh 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 yeah, boy. Blue Oyster Cult, ETI, extraterrestrial intelligence. Yeah, for some jams right here. I no longer feel emotion. Purpose man, emotion. Don't tell this to the agents of fortune. It's really good one. Wow, this one keeps increasing in cult following. Wow. Yeah. Keeps getting, this one keeps getting. I, I thought it would level off, but it keeps increasing. Yeah. Why do I think why the babies isn't a time keeps increasing? I think a lot of people are discovering it's amazing. Thank you would never find. Yeah, people got to discover it. One is, song's really good. It's so really complex. Yeah, the songs back then were way better. As that classical piano, it really kills it. Never knew this little man would be just to make it through. Wow, this song kind of hits a little harder, Dom. What other kind of classic gems do you know? I know a lot of. I could play a whole album of classic. There's a mini represent Les Flips, Flowers. You probably hear it in movies and stuff. It's Maya Rudolph's mother, Minnie Riperton, and the white guy is Eric Rudolph. Wow. It appears to have an emotion. Wow, where'd you go? You. There you go. Wow. Work. under for it forever. Do not have the weapon we Wiggins do have. Under God. on there. Biden, y'all. Joe Biden. Yeah, Joe Biden. Yeah, Joe Biden. Joe Biden. Yeah, Joe Biden. Yeah, Joe Biden. Joe Biden. Joe Biden. What? Yeah, Joe Biden. Yeah. Where's Joe Biden? The Biden. Uh,
I don't fucking know. I have no history of that shit.
Oh, you always talking about that over again. Down. Yeah. 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 Well, I was always wondering how the Wheelers got the Japanese, you know, stuff. So that's my mom. Probably I shouldn't have asked that question. So. Oh, should ask them that question. Good. Ooh. Ugh. Shoot. Yeah. Well. Ooh. Yeah, I just want to understand. Grenada is China. The China is from Japan. I was just wondering how we got it. And that's a sensitive topic, I suppose. Well, that's all right. I mean, I kind of got it. My mom's father was McNeil Wheeler Jr., private in the U.S. Army, who was killed before I was born, assassinated in Memorial, West Houston, Texas. I get it. But I was wondering how we got Granny Inez's Wheeler's, her China. I was wondering how we got Japanese, Chinese, China. It's China from Japan. I was just wondering how we have the whole entire, plate. We have an entire room of that. That's really interesting. I'd like to know about that. Right? Yeah. I guess they tried to call me not a Wheeler because my father's name is Stanley. But my mother's name is Wheeler, so I was named Wheeler. And they tried to call that mistake on my birth certificate, I suppose. No, 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 no. My name has always been Wheeler. I've always been Wheeler. I've always been Scott Allen Wheeler. Yeah, it could have been Scott Allen Stanley. Stanley, which is an English name from England. But no, no, no. I've always been called Wheeler my whole life. Whole life is revolving around Wheeler. Um, My mother's family is called Wheeler. They're all called Wheeler. I am Wheeler. I mean, I am Wheeler. And so the museum says I'm Wheeler. I am Wheeler. I have a whole curio cabinet of Wheeler dishes. I have my mother's name is Wheeler. Her father's name is Wheeler. My name is Wheeler. We're Wheeler. I mean, it's not. Sure, you can call it a mistake on the birth certificate. I am Wheeler. There's no doubt. I am a Wheeler. I'm Wheeler. Look, there's a Japanese, Chinese, whole entire curio cabinet of ancient Wheeler stuff. I'm Wheeler. It's not. I'm Wheeler. My great grandmother, my mother's father is Wheeler. We are Wheeler forever. It's not. No. We are Wheeler. Okay. It's the truth. Now, it wasn't a mistake on my birth certificate that I'm Wheeler. It's not a mistake. It's true. I am a Wheeler. Mother's a Wheeler. Her father's a Wheeler. Everyone's a Wheeler. They're all Wheelers. Man, if you say that I am not a Wheeler, I can give you 1 billion documents to say that you're wrong. If you say I'm a Stanley, that's fine. It's my father's family. That's okay. J.P. Morgan Stanley. But at the end of the day, I am a Wheeler. That's whether you or this world likes that or not. I'm a Wheeler. That's the name on my birth certificate. That's who I am. Wheeler is a part of my own history. It's a part of my family's history. You can't prove to me that I'm not a Wheeler. Then prove it that I'm not a Wheeler. Prove it. If you think I'm not a Wheeler, then prove that I'm not a Wheeler. I know I'm not. My name is Scott Allen Wheeler. That's on my birth certificate. That's my family name. That's my family heritage. Prove that I am not a Wheeler. And I'll tell you that I'm not. But you can't prove that. I'm not ashamed of my father's name, Stanley. It wasn't on my birth certificate. I'm a Wheeler. And I always will be a Wheeler. That's my family's ancient name. From Ireland or England, that is our bloodline. That's our time. I am Wheeler. Everybody knows I'm Wheeler. I am Wheeler. Scott Allen Wheeler. I'm part of the Wheeler clan, the Wheeler family. Even if we don't talk that much, even though we're not that close. But it does not mean that I don't talk to my family, the Stanleys. I do. Or I believe in the Stanley family, my father's. But My mother's side of the family is Wheelers. And that is my also family. So how dare you say that I'm not a Wheeler or a true Wheeler? I'm the heir of the Wheeler family. There's Granny Inez's Chinese, Japanese plates in this curio cabinet here. I am part of the Wheeler family, whether you like it or not. I am part of the ancient, great Wheeler family. It is true. And anybody who says I'm not is blasphemy. My mother is Wheeler, Captain Wheeler. Her father is McNeil Wheeler Jr. Wheeler. And his father is McNeil Sr. Wheeler. We are Wheeler. We are Wheeler. Whether you like it or not, we are Wheeler. I never denied it. My heritage, my blood. But others try to diminish me. Say, you're not a real Wheeler. I know I'm a real fucking Wheeler. Fuck you. I'm a real fucking Wheeler. My name is Wheeler. My lineage is Wheeler. We're Wheeler. Fuck you. What are you saying? We are not Wheeler. Fuck you. We are Wheeler. I don't know why these people try to say you're not a real Wheeler. I'm a real Wheeler. Fuck you. Fuck you. Go fuck yourself. I don't care. Yeah, I get it. What? You're jealous of the Wheeler lineage? That's fine. My grandmother, my mother was born from Ida Lou Rawlinson, mated with McNeil Wheeler, Boogie Jr. That's created my mother. And so that's how I was born also down the line. So no, I'm not. Look, that's who I am. That's my grandmother. That's my grandfather. What? I'm not even question it. Ida Lou Rawlinson, mated with McNeil Wheeler Jr., and that created my mother, Catherine Wheeler. And I'm her son, Scott Wheeler. So, am I going to deny that? No. So,